What's going on, guys? Welcome back to LOI TV. We are live doing our starting 11 reaction and joined by Liam and Brian. Lads, thanks very much for joining me today. Long, interesting night ahead.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Just looking at the lineups, we'll jump straight into it, I suppose, lads. We'll start off with Ireland. We might as well. Looking at our lineup, I'm quite intrigued by it. It's an interesting one. I wasn't expecting it. But I'm looking forward to seeing how it kind of pans out. And it's the formation's still a bit. I'm not 100% sure on what he's going with, but it looks like a 3-5-2, perhaps.
Yeah, I think so. Based on the personnel they picked, I think it'll be O'Shea, Clark, and Coleman in that back three, and Doherty and Stevens as wing backs. But like you said, it's probably. I was thinking about this about 5 minutes ago. I was really kind of looking forward to the game, but then I thought around this time the team would come out and I'd be like, "Oh, for fuck's sake! Like here we go again! Same old." It's probably the bravest Ireland team in a qualifying campaign. I can never. You
don't see Mick McCarthy picking a team like that. You just don't see that.
No, I'm really struggling to think of. You'd probably go back to Brian Kerr to see a manager pick a team that brave. Like he's left out Hendrick, he's left out Duffy. Obviously, McLean is obviously struggling with injury, but like those are three players that for the last few years have been on the team sheet come hell or high water. So very, very interesting. And exciting actually, because you're right. Well, at least if we lose tonight, you say he went for it. There'll always be people go, "Oh, he should have picked those three." But for me, it's gone. He took a chance and went for it. You only get to be Ireland manager once, unless you're Mick McCarthy, and this is your chance. Go and grab it. I'm really excited about that. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really excited about it.
For me, it's for me definitely seeing the team. I feel a bit more confident, and it's kind of like the new era now. You can kind of say that now. Because, as you said there, you have to go back many managers ago to when players that were just kind of given a start. Even like Hendrick's been poor and Duffy has been poor this season. And the fact that they have been rested, we'll say, is good because it gives the likes of like Josh Cullen. He's having a great season. Why can't he? Like he deserves a start and he's getting one now. So he might as well prove himself. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I thought Robbie Brady being left out was an interesting one. I think, obviously, we all know about his injury issues. I think he's made an eye on the Luxembourg game with that one. I mean, a couple of days apart. Robbie Brady's not going to play 90 minutes in 2 games in that little amount of space. I think maybe he's probably better off in that Luxembourg game where that bit of quality might be needed to break down a team. Whereas in this game, maybe he's going for like a Malumbi, a Robinson, players like that who are going to kind of get around the pitch more than a Brady maybe would.
Yeah, I think the next 2 games are, I think Luxembourg, you obviously have to go and win the game, but you would expect us to do that. And then Qatar obviously is friendly for all. Well, it is a friendly. So I expect there to be a change. But, I think I was saying to you, Ross, earlier that there's realistically 2 competitive games that are going to define this qualifying campaign, and it's Serbia home or away, home and away. And if we can go out tonight and get a result with this team, fantastic. And then on Saturday we're playing Luxembourg. You can bring in the likes of Brady. You can bring in. I'm a bit disappointed to not see Jason Knight in the team tonight.
I'm surprised as well.
Pick it one thing wrong with that team maybe, but yeah, I think the likes of Brady, and I'm trying to pick out who else maybe on the bench. Maybe Long on Saturday, but. I think against a team that's probably going to sit and defend a player like Brady with a bit more maybe creativity in his locker than others is probably the right fit.
Yeah. Liam, I know you're a big fan of Malumbi. Maybe Kenny's going up with Malumbi overnight just because of that relationship they had in the under-21 setup. Malumbi never let him down. Because Knight's probably been better in the championship than Malumbi this season, but maybe that trust he has in Malumbi has got him to start tonight.
I'd also say the fact Malumbi's kind of been a bit longer involved in the first team setup. And you'd like the likes of Travers starting over Bazunu tonight is because he is more experienced, not like even international experience than Bazunu. So you have to kind of go off that as well sometimes.
Yeah. Just to run through the team quickly. So it's Travers in goal. Back 3, we're going to say, of Coleman, O'Shea and Clark. Then the wing backs, probably their best position they can actually play, their natural spots for Doherty and Stevens at right and left wing back. That's like a midfield three of Alan Brown, probably more in the 10, and Josh Cullen and Malumbi behind him. And then the two leading the line are Connolly and Robinson. So yeah, there was reports in training and stuff that Connolly and Robinson were working as a pair in the couple of days that they had. I know Anthony Barry was at Chelsea as well. He's been playing that kind of 3-4-3, 3-5-2 kind of thing with two goals. So maybe he's had an impact as well on Kenny's thinking. So yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, I think that they've playing players like Doherty and Stevens in their positions that they're excelling at or have excelled at is the correct thing to do. I have to say that earlier on, if you asked me to name a team that I would have liked, this is probably, other than Brown, 90% it. But like, it's the strongest thing that we could have asked for. My only maybe issue is how fit is Connolly. Obviously hasn't really played in the last while. Brighton are kind of using this as they were like, oh yeah, go and play, because it'll be good for you. You'll get some minutes into your legs. But
yeah,
that's not really what we want from our perspective. We want him to come and be fresh for us. So, if he can get on the ball and run at players, and there's a lot of pace up there, brilliant. But I just worry that maybe he's a little bit rusty. That's my only issue. And Travers in goal, look, goalkeepers are goalkeepers at this level, at professional level. So I don't really think he's going to make, touch wood, he's probably not, maybe, if he makes a mistake, he makes a mistake. But I think for the most part, he'll be okay. I think on the ball is kind of where you worry, where he might be.
It's a shame, actually. Obviously, you as a Liverpool fan, you've seen Kelleher a few times this season. It's a shame, maybe, because if he had have got his chance in these internationals, he maybe could have held down the number 1 jersey moving forward as well. So it's a shame.
Absolutely, yeah. I really, really rate Quentin Kelleher. I have to say I saw him a couple of times over the last few years play for the under-21s, and I saw him play for Liverpool, reserve, not the reserves anymore, the under-23s. Yeah. And he played a couple of first-team games, and I was like, okay, looks better on the ball than any Irish goalkeeper I've seen. Worried about his goalkeeping ability a little bit, but having seen him this season play at Champions League and Premier League, can't really fault him. And I think it is extremely disappointing from his perspective that he's not in the team. But it is a brilliant opportunity for Mark Travers, in fairness.
Absolutely.
So I hope he does well, but we shall see, I suppose.
Yeah, we were discussing this before we went on about the Serbia side. A bit of a interesting one from them. LiveScore has it as a 3-4-3, so it's kind of matching our one. A lot of the players you would have expected to have seen in the starting 11 are on the bench. You have the likes of Mitrovic on the bench, Luka Jovic on the bench, Milinkovic Savic, which is probably the biggest shock of them all, on the bench as well. Of course, it's a level lot of quality, the likes of Dusan Tadic and other players in their front line as well. But it's quite a surprising lineup.
Yeah, from an Irish point of view, as you were saying beforehand, and what I think kind of is Serbia kind of have one eye on their next game, which is Portugal.
Yeah,
definitely. I think that it's an interesting pick for them. We, as you said, they're in a new manager has just been appointed, so you don't really know what state they're going to be in. So he could be using this game to kind of blood some players, but which seems a bit strange. Considering that it's really between us and them for the playoff place, and whoever gets a result against Portugal maybe. But it is an interesting one. But their bench is extremely strong. There's 5 subs in this game, so I'd expect them to throw into players. But I think I said it to you, Ross, again earlier, that they probably have a few more danger men in areas that we don't, and that would be my worry. But it'll be an interesting contest. And I mean, yes, if we allow Tadic time on the ball in dangerous areas, he'll definitely punish us, and we need to be on top of that. But defensively, I hope that our soundness comes back that we've had over the last few years, that maybe kind of went away in the first few games of Stephen Kenny's era. But look, it is what it is. We can only really go out now and try. It's something different, and whoever we're playing against, whether it's Luxembourg or Qatar or Serbia tonight, we have to go with them, because as you said, we don't really know what they're going to be like, because it's a new era for them as well. Their results over the last while have been a bit of a mixed bag. I only watched them in that Scotland game in the playoff. They didn't play well that night. They were probably actually unlucky they didn't get the result, but they didn't play that well. But then they obviously went to beat Russia 5-0 a few days later. So really, really interesting to see what they're like tonight. And it is a chance if they're not totally together as a team yet. It is a good chance to get a result, because by the time we come around to play them in Dublin, they may have got used to playing under a new manager in a new system, playing together, and can't really take that chance.
Yeah. An interesting one, actually. I think I talked to you about it before, Brian, a couple of months ago, about the fact that there are no fans will play in this game. I mean, Belgrade is notoriously an awful place to go to.
Yeah.
I remember Liverpool went a few years ago and lost 2-0 to Red Star Belgrade. Such an intimidating place to play football.
Absolutely. I think Nick from the Green Machine podcast was actually there. He went to Interrailing about 10 years ago now, Sean's age. But he, he's saying that the stadium it is quite daunting, and he was only there when in the middle of the day, no one's there. But it's kind of down in the ground, and there was lots of pictures going around of the tunnel, which is just this big long concrete tunnel from the dressing room. Looks to last about a mile down to the stadium, to the actual stadium and the pitch, and you could probably hear the noise the whole time down, on the way down. So it probably is a good thing for us that we spoke about, that getting Serbia now means that we don't have to play them next September, when hopefully there will be fans back in stadiums. And it's definitely, it could go the opposite way. You just don't really know, but you have to kind of say, right, well, that is an advantage. Let's work that to our advantage.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully we can have fans in the Aviva when we're playing against them at home. Touch wood. But Liam, I think we were talking about it earlier in the group about how obviously Troy Parrott, Ryan Manning, and there was two others, I can't remember off the top of my head, were left out of the match day 23. Connor Coventry was one as well. So obviously Connor Coventry and Troy Parrott maybe taken out of the under-21 setup for this game and not involved. Do you think we would have been better off maybe calling up maybe a Jamie McGrath, one or two other, maybe Aaron McAnuff, players like that, and not weakening the under-21s as much to not really then use the players that were taken?
I agree with that point personally, because Troy Parrott hasn't really got going yet, and he's only got one professional senior goal, right? So why not bring up McAnuff, who's done his thing, he's gone out to Scotland, has that bit of experience, and obviously he's played European nights, so that wouldn't be too different to going to Serbia. Personally, I don't think. Yeah.
Because I can understand it from a League of Ireland point of view, maybe a Graham Burke or Michael Duffy. The season hasn't started yet, so they're not going to be in the full swing of things really just yet. But then if you look at how well Jamie McGrath's doing over in Scotland, I think there is definitely a point to be made in that, and maybe not taking Troy Parrott out of the under-21s, where he's probably more suited to right now. What do you think on that, Brian?
I think that's it's a fair point. But for me, if I'm looking at Troy Parrott, he's probably, hopefully, touch wood, the future of Irish football. So you probably do want him around the senior squad as much as possible, especially considering the 21s are only playing a friendly against Wales. And I was actually on a seminar last week with Jim Crawford, and he was talking about blooding in new players, and I think there was 10 new players in the squad, in the 21 squad for this friendly. So this is probably the right time to have Parrott. I know he's not in the matchday squad today, but to have him around the camp and get used to playing senior or training with senior international players. And just generally being involved, so that he's used to it and he's not kind of coming up and we're saying, right, well, now to blow him in a couple of years. He'll probably won't. Will he play on against Luxembourg? I don't know. He'll probably definitely play against Qatar. And I'll be interested to see him. But no, should he be in the squad over someone like McGrath? I don't know. For me, he would be, just for those reasons. To get him blooded in that.
Fair. Yeah. Just to quickly touch on our injury list. It's a crazy one to go through. Just in goal, you look at Randolph, Kelleher, Kieran Westwood out in goal. In the back, at the back, we have John Egan out, Kevin Long out, Derek Williams, Nathan Collins all out. Probably John Egan, the only one that would maybe get into this team tonight. Then in midfield, McCarthy, Arthur, Horahan, Jack Byrne, O'Dowda, Smallbone, Jack Taylor, and then up front, the likes of Obafemi and Ida as well. So it is a huge injury list, isn't it? But all things considered, it's not that it hasn't affected us, but we're looking okay, I think.
I'm looking at the team just on the screen here, and the names you've just named. You're right. Maybe Egan's the only one who probably definitely gets
Horahan on form,
on current form. Yeah. But it's actually a strong enough 11 that we put out, all things considered. Yes, there is a lot of injuries in goal. Obviously, there's the first and second choice are out, but generally, the injury list, yes, it sounds extensive. Excuse me, and doesn't read well. But end of the day, the 11 that go out have to do the job. I know kind of as a Liverpool fan, the season's going, I'm missing Van Dijk, missing Gomez, but that's still no excuse to be losing at home to the likes of Brighton and Burnley. It's similar to Ireland. If this was, say, Luxembourg tonight, and we're going, you're missing Randolph, you're missing Egan. You should still be beating teams, and you should still be competing against teams. And if the very least that we've always said about Ireland is, they go out and they're brave and they try. That's all you can really ask for from the boys that go out. Yes, you want to see them play good football. Yes, you want to see them do well, but you want to see them really try and get a result in a place like this, regardless of who's on the pitch.
Definitely.
For me,
Lads,
anyway.
we'll finish off with our scoreline predictions. Liam, you can kick us off.
Before I saw the lineup, I was not very confident. I'm not going to lie to you, but I feel like I've got a new lease of life, so I'm going to go 1-0 Ireland. I just think it's just a completely different team. Like, it's something the Irish fans weren't expecting, so I'm going to be optimistic, cautiously optimistic. I'm going to say 1-0.
Brain.
I don't really share Liam's optimism. Yes, it's a brave team. It's refreshing, but to be realistic about it, we haven't scored. None of those players on the pitch have scored for Ireland for nearly 2 years.
It's shocking, actually, isn't it? Jesus,
it's terrible.
Statistically.
And I think that was Matt Doherty, the right wing back. I think there's probably about 3 goals maybe in that Ireland
Duffy
team.
was the only one who scored last year.
So for me, I'm going to say I want to say 2-0 to Ireland, and it'd be great, but I realistically think it'll be either a goalless draw or a tight loss, maybe 1-0 to Serbia. But look, as I said, we can only go out and play what's in front of us, and
that's it.
Hope for the best, really.
Yeah.
Trust in Stephen Kenny.
That's it. Yeah. No matter what happens tonight. We have to beat Luxembourg, though. That's I'm going to stick with what I said on our preview last night. I'm going to go stick with the 1-1 that I predicted. I think we're going to press them. It seems like we're going to have a bit of a high press here with the team we selected. I think we're going to try and put them under pressure, and I think we might just nick something. We're not very clinical. There are two kind of strikers. You wouldn't say they're most clinical strikers, but they might just
not clinical is the biggest understatement. Yeah. A team that has scored 1 goal in the last year. Yeah, not very clinical. No.
Not very clinical for the goal, but listen, I'm going to stick with 1-1. I think we'll nick one. I think we will. I might go in front early, catch them by surprise a little bit, I feel. And then I think maybe their quality will start to come through, and maybe we'll hang on to the 1-1 in the end. But lads, absolute pleasure chatting to you. I'll be back at back at 20-8, so 7:40, about 5 minutes before kickoff, if that suits you. Lovely stuff. Make sure to join us, like the stream if you did enjoy it, and subscribe as well. We'll see you all at 7:40.